Chaz, who are you?
Diva, teacher, lover, Chaz,
You good?
thriving.
Thriving too. Thanks for being here today.
Honestly, I'm so honored to be here and honestly just so happy to spend this time and space with you.
Me too, to hold the space.
Who's that?
Every time I'm with you, I feel like I hold that sacred space of leveling up and just shining the light that we're all here for.
I'm just glad we can share each other's light. I honestly feel in the moment I met you. It's just like not even light bulbs, not even Christmas lights. It was almost like a second sun just like entered into it.
Oh, I felt the same way. There are people that kind of level you up, and there are people that bring you sideways or bring you down or bring you in circles, and they all are great. Everyone's doing the best they can.
You're welcome.
But I really do appreciate your positivity, and that is what attracted me to invite you today on this podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. It's so exciting.
So let's just get into it.
Get into it.
You have such a fascinating, amazing story of fortitude and strength. You really know who you are, and you don't get involved in anyone else's projection of who you are.
No.
What does inner success mean to you?
Ooh, that's a deep one. And I think, I've done a lot of reflecting actually in my 28 years of life. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but for me, I've loved it. But I've done a lot of reflecting in this time onto defining what success meant for me. I think early on in my 20s, I was in such a rat race to feel fulfilled and accomplished. I left college, went to Syracuse University, and I was like, I need to hit the ground running, get a job, be uber successful. And success to me felt more like a destination, as opposed to something I wanted for myself. I was like, I needed to get to this so I could be this or show up like this. And I think for the past few years, now that I've done a lot of racing through life, rushing through accomplishments, almost like a checklist, I realized that like success isn't a destination, at least not for me. And I don't think you all should look at it like that. I think it's really important for you to reflect and look at success as a state of mind. Really think about what does it make you feel and how do you want to feel. And I think for me now, when I think about inner success, is really how I make myself feel and how I'm impacting making other people feel.
So how do you feel when you're feeling your inner success?
I feel, I just feel really empowered. That's one thing that's empowered. And I think I really want to make sure I'm also sharing that with others so they can also find their own inner power and their own inner way forward. I think one of the things I remember, I was speaking to someone and they're just like, every time I talk to you, I just feel like I'm just ready to hit the ground running and just like go after my life. And it honestly makes me feel so energized that I'm able to have that kind of amazing tangible impact on someone, that they're able to feel like, oh my gosh, I could see this for myself. And one of the things I realized is like, early on, I wanted so much success for myself. One thing that really made me feel so much more fulfilled was when I helped others find success for themselves and see their way forward. And I think an early moment when that clicked for me is actually when I was an RA in college. And I was an RA in college because I was like, I wanted to save money on like room and board. But I think that really showed me mentorship and how I can have an impact on helping people find their direction in life. I was an RA for like 33 freshmen, all fresh-eyed, bushy-tailed, really excited about college and really thinking about what they wanted out of life. And I think a lot of them didn't really have a sense of direction. Like, who does when they're 18? I know they try to like force this on us to like decide your major, decide your life, and know everything.
It's ridiculous.
It's rigid. But helping them figure out that you don't need to know everything right away, but we can help you start taking these initial first steps into your honest truth and the honest destination in your mind that you want to be in, I think was really beautiful. And I keep in contact with a lot of my residents now. And a lot of them always are thanking me for how just warm, welcome, and less pressure I made them feel about starting this new tumultuous chapter in your life that's full of transformation, and knowing that to take a breath, reflect, and then take one step at a time.
That's really an abundant mindset. You see a lot of memes on Instagram and TikTok about scarcity mindset or abundant mindset. And of course, everybody wants an abundant mindset. But how do you get there? How did you even start to get there? You know, some people think, well, I can't help that person because that takes away from my success. And when really, the more you give, the more you get.
Exactly.
It's energy that flows, you know, and the universe feels you giving. It wants to give more so that you can give more and we can level up. I keep saying level up. So where did that abundance mindset come from? From childhood, from your parents?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of places. I mean, I want to touch upon one of the other things you said just about like energy transference. I mean, they say it in science, energy is nor created or destroyed. It's just kind of coming back and forth. And
wait, okay, let's say that again. That's so huge.
It's a science thing, you know?
Energy is not created
or destroyed. It's just transferring back and forth. Think about the way you breathe. You're giving the oxygen back to the plants, which gives all the other stuff that fuels and nourishes our lives.
Wow, that was big for me.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, that was big.
It's something like, you know, when I would speak to my parents, and I love my parents to death. You know, for them, they've gone through a lot of life, and I think they always try to share their wisdom with me. I think younger at an earlier age, I was like, what are you talking about? You don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, but what I loved about them is they both have an immigrant story. They're both originally from the Caribbean. My mom is from Grenada. My dad is from Barbados. And they moved here with their families to just kind of like start a new life and go after their dreams and really just make things happen for themselves.
Did they move simultaneously or just they moved together?
No. So they both moved separately with their families when they were like middle school, teenage years.
Okay.
And they both had to make sacrifices to have the life that they wanted. I know my dad being the eldest, he wanted to go to away school, couldn't do that because he had a younger brother who wanted to also do that. He was thinking about how can I create a better experience for him and better life for him as well. And my mom, wanting to also go away to school, had 4 other older siblings who were all in college at the time, but knew that all she wanted to do was to heal and give back to others. And was like, I'm just going to go to a local nursing school and figure that out. And one of the things they instilled in me is like, success is really great for you personally, but what are you actually doing to give back to the people around you, your community, your village of sorts? What village are you creating for yourself and those around you? And how are you nourishing that? Because it's one thing to just nourish yourself. I mean, that's a pretty lonely tree if you talk about it. If you really think about it, if you're just nourishing yourself, it's one tree, not even a forest. Why not make a forest with all those around you?
Right. I love it. It's so important.
It's so important.
A friend was recently in my house and said that it reminded her of Grand Central Station because I have kids and my family, and I've got a lot of people that come in for cocktail hour, and I just like having an open house.
Yeah.
And for me, it's because I want to be that home that gives love so people can go out into the world and give their love, spread their light. It sounds cheesy, but for me, it is what it is. Like, that's why I want a big home. It's my sacred soul expression to kind of be big and live in abundance so that I can give abundance.
Yeah, and that's not cheesy. That's your truth.
That's 1,000% my truth. It's scary sometimes, though, for me to be honest with my truth. Because I am worried I might lose friends. What are people going to think about me?
Yeah.
I'm 39 and I still have those fears. It's something that is an Achilles heel of mine.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. I was in kindergarten and people would say during the week, do you want to have a play date on Friday? And I would commit to 6 people. And then I'd come home on Friday afternoon and I'd cry to my mom. And she would be like,
oh my God,
why did you say yes to everyone?
Overextending yourself,
Because I don't know how to say no. So learning how to say no has been one of the greatest lessons of my life.
Yeah.
And the more I can kind of hone in the no, the more successful I am within myself.
Exactly.
The more I can sleep deeper at night. I can love my kids better. I can be more present to my husband, to myself first.
Exactly.
So this thing that is just so natural to you, you must know it's not natural to others.
No, it's not. And I would say like it does appear as natural for me because I've had such a foundational upbringing that's really reinforced that for me. But I feel like it's only now come to the front of me over the past recent years. I think, as you know, you met me when I was my early days moving here to LA. LA was never something on my mindset, never something I thought would be on my journey. But, I thought take a chance, turn a new page, and just rewrite the book for yourself. And I've learned a lot in my time here in LA. And when I first moved here, I met so many people so fast, made so many friends. And one thing I was realizing is as the time went on, and I was really coming into my own identity and who I wanted to be, the truth for myself, that started whittling down. And I saw something the other day.
What was whittling down?
The amount of people that that I considered friends, people who are actually like in my life, creating actual value to my life, but also just like making me feel nourished as I was nourishing them. Wasn't just a one-sided nourishment. It felt like I wanted friendships where I felt like we were pouring into each other. Yeah. And there's a lot of friendships that I had that just didn't feel like that. And one thing I realized, and I actually read this somewhere online the other day, is you have the most friends when you're the least like yourself. And when you're living your truth, you'll have the least amount of people.
Whoa.
Because you're being your more authentic self, and that's going to attract the right people to you. And I think my mom made an analogy about this. She was like, really think of yourself as like a very expensive cheese. Not every cheese is for everybody. You don't want to be cheddar. You want to be like
I like cheddar.
I love cheddar. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, everybody loves cheddar. But do they actually love cheddar?
No, they're just like, whatever, it's here.
It's here. I'll eat it. But it's really thinking about how are you being your most authentic self, and what are the right people you're attracting that are actually valuing and wanting you in your life.
1000%. I lost my mom a couple of years, thank you. And there's nothing like watching the brevity of life, watching life kind of flow through your fingertips to realize, whoa, we're not here forever.
Yeah.
So I gotta be authentic, and I just need to do what I need to do.
Gotta be you.
You gotta be you. I never felt so convicted in myself until her death. It's the biggest gift that she could have given me.
Yeah.
So, you are so confident. You are so accomplished. You are everything that so many people wish they could even think about being. Do you ever doubt yourself?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I had years and years of self-doubt, I think, especially in the formative years of my life. Get this. I want to paint a visual for you all. I entered middle school, glasses, braces, and a full body back brace. So I had scoliosis.
Same, but I never
spaghetti spine. Loved it.
Love it.
Loved it. And
with a back brace.
Yeah. Starting a new school.
No.
Middle school. Yeah.
Oh no, middle school.
Can it be the worst?
It's beyond the worst.
Yeah. And I remember feeling like such a shell of who I was. And I felt like who I really was and who I saw myself is deep inside, unlocked under that back brace. I felt like it couldn't be me. And I had to figure out for myself how I can unlock that person and bring that out and bring that light out that I didn't have. And, I started telling people in middle school, I think this really kicked off for me like 8th grade. And this is also around the time where I started to realize that my sexuality and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to do it.
Okay.
And I used to tell people, just so I can get ahead of any bullies, any naysayers, or anyone who had said anything good about me, I used to tell everyone, I'm Iron Man. You can like punch my back brace and it's like rock hard. But that was also just a physical saying and manifestation for myself of me saying that I had a tougher skin than I actually did. And allowed me to feel stronger.
I love that.
Yeah. Using that to allow myself to build up my own exterior shield for who I was, to make myself feel like a stronger person, I think started to lay the bricks and the foundation for the strong and confident person I needed and became.
So you were just telling yourself what you wanted to become there, and therefore you were telling others.
Exactly. Self-talk.
It was the self-talk.
Self-talk is big. It's
for you.
For me. I think.
Tell me about self-talk. What's self-talk?
I think self-talk is like talking to not only just talking to yourself. I mean, I love to talk to myself.
Me too.
We can have a conversation. It's me and an invisible.
We can have a drink.
We can have a drink.
We are drinking.
We can go shopping.
Let's go shopping.
But for me, self-talk was allowing me to make the words and thoughts I had physically manifest. I spoke a lot of things to existence. I would tell myself, you're amazing, you're confident, you're intelligent. Words have meaning, they have weight, they have so much value. And the more you're able to say those things about yourself, the more you're more likely to see them as true and believe them for yourself. So I would spend a lot of time in my mornings just saying, you're a star. And I had a nickname, middle and high school, that eventually became the nickname on my varsity jersey for volleyball. I was in varsity volleyball, Chazzle Dazzle. And it was like adding a little sprinkle of fabulosity to every bit of my life. And that's something I just said to myself every day. You're a star, Chazzle Dazzle.
You're doing a great job. Also, we were speaking off camera earlier when you first arrived today, and we were speaking about when someone asks you how you're doing,
oh my God, yeah.
the power of your response. To date, till this morning, when you just changed my whole perspective, have always told myself I'm just going to be honest and say how I feel.
Yeah.
Even if it's not great, whatever. You know, I'm like that awkward person at a cocktail party giving you the real talk instead of just everything's perfect, never complain, never explain. And what your response, I mean, you're going to be able to say it better to the audience than I am. How are you doing, Chazz, with two Z's?
I'm thriving.
So that is just always what you say.
It's always what I say. And it really goes back to the self-talk. And really it's just about that manifestation of bringing those words to life. If you say it enough, it will start to feel like that for your life. It's all about changing your perspective.
Yeah.
No matter what's going on in your day, in your life, allowing yourself to speak more positively about what's happening for you, not happening to you, happening for you, and how your life is, it allows you to kind of see things in a different light. And it's allowed me to have a better relationship with myself and also a better relationship with the things that are going on. You know, it's not like, let's say I get into a negative situation and I'm like pretty down about it. And one of the things I've really been reflecting on is, how is it necessarily impacting me? And how is this carrying through my life? A lot of things that happen to us are a speck in our lifetime. And it allows me to really think, is this something that is going to have major ramifications for me 5 years down the line? Am I going to be thinking about this in 4 or 5 months? And really kind of taking those steps back there, scaling it back and thinking back and thinking back and being like, what can I do to process this healthily, think about how this is impacting me, and think about how this fits into the greater scheme of my life.
Yep.
And having that overall kind of thought process on things has allowed me to process a lot of conflict and resolution a lot easier.
Because you can kind of zoom out.
And I think we were also speaking about this off camera, was decentering yourself and thinking about where the root of this is and what it is and what the meaning is.
What does decentering mean?
So taking your own perspective out of the equation and seeing it from someone else's point of view, or seeing it from a bystander point of view, a third person point of view.
You're really engaged in your life and you're engaged in doing a good job and moving forward and being a star, whatever that means for you. That is sometimes very uncomfortable for people because it reminds them of what they're not doing.
Exactly.
So they might be feeling their own shame, feeling uncomfortable,
right?
That they're not as engaged, but everyone is on their journey. Everyone's on their path, doing the best that they can.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy.
Comparison is the thief of joy. You're just full of little snackable
just little
wisdom.
Nuggets.
Sprinkle it on. Chazz with two Z's.
Layer it. Yeah. It's the thief of joy.
It really is.
And we're really in a comparison culture right now.
It's really, I mean, you're like Mr. Comparison. We're not going to talk, I mean, not like your job. You're, you know, you work at a platform. Social media is, it can get really weird.
It can get really weird.
And people can get really weird because of it, because they think they weren't invited.
Yeah.
they're not skinny enough. Whatever. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, that's awkward. Why am I not there? And then I have to kind of take a step back and be like, you good, Claire? You good? Like,
you good?
How many kids do you have? You should think about taking care of your kids, not about the party. But it's tough when you live in a comparison culture, and we're always, you know, market well, sell often. We're just constantly on this treadmill to put things out, which yields comparison if you're not careful. How do you manage that?
Well, I mean, it really goes back to a lot of things. I mean, one of the things is really my own self-outlook, which I look at myself every day and I think about all the blessings that I have and all the things I'm very fortunate for and fortunate to have and just where I'm at in my life. And I think about, you know, the unique value that I have that others might not necessarily have or might not necessarily have in their place or in their life currently. And every time I feel that kind of sense of comparison, I really kind of take a step back and I think to myself, you know, if it was for me, it would be here. It's just not for me, and that's just A-okay because there's something else meant for me on my journey. I really, and you know, it can be so easy to say that, and then that makes you think you need to have a tunnel vision kind of perspective on life, and that's not necessarily so. I like to think of my life as like a scenic train ride. I'm like looking out the window, and there's a lot of amazing things outside, but those aren't necessarily my destinations. That's not necessarily my journey, not necessarily on my route. Where I'm going, and I always try to remind myself that my end destination is going to be just as beautiful as what I'm looking at outside at someone else's. And that allows me to really kind of reflect and be patient and just be appreciative of where I am currently and where I'm potentially going.
So what is that? Like, what's the next kind of, where's the train going right now?
Where's the train going? So I think the train for me is not going to a specific destination. For me, it's going to a state of mind and where my outlook for myself is.
You're amazing.
Thank you. I feel really proud of myself often, but I think it's important for me to also just feel really happy and content with where I am in my life. I've been very fortunate to be afforded a lot of the success I've had early on in my career and a lot of the things I have, and that's not wasted upon me. I'm very thankful for everything I have in my life. I really try to like appreciate the abundance that I have going on. I'm able to afford the lifestyle I'm able to afford because of the hard work I put in. And I think I want to just get to a place where I'm just really thankful and I don't want for anything else. I don't want to be like, I need a bigger house. I need a shinier car. I need a new bag. I have a lot. I want to just really be thankful. And you know, do you remember in The Lion King where Mufasa says to Simba, everything the light touches is our kingdom?
Of course.
And just like the sense of appreciation and just like, this is just what I have. And I'm thankful for what this is.
That's so beautiful.
And that's where I want to be standing on that little mountaintop, looking over Pride Rock and be like, this is all I have and I'm thankful for it.
Me too. I want to be there with you.
Stand right beside me, bro.
Coming.
It's Pride Rock. There's space.
We're going. We're there. We're thriving.
We're thriving.
Can you please tell us your coming out story? 'Cause it's the best coming out story I've ever heard in my life. And I will ever hear.
I just know as telling this, I know my mom is just like, oh my God, she's just gonna be so nervous. But I love this story. It's great because it's my truth. It's my story. It's my life. So for context, everyone, my dad is an engineer, really, really into math. That was one subject we could never do bad in. I remember I was doing the like times tables at 4. My dad was like quizzing me in all of this.
At 4.
Yeah, at 4 years old, I had to know my entire times tables. And my dad was really, really strict about that.
So smart.
So in middle school, I took geometry class. I was about like 14, 15. And geometry was really, really hard for me. I just, for some reason, the concept around the equations of shapes just never registered for me.
So brutal.
I was like, I'm not going to be an architect, so why do I need to know this?
Same.
So there was one time I got like a C- on my geometry test, and I had to get it signed by my parents. I go home and I'm just like, I've never gotten a grade lower than a B plus. Like never. That's just like not a thing. That was not happening. It was overachiever boots. Like I was like never doing that. And I had to get it signed by them. And I was so nervous. I mean, anyone who knows or has like definitely immigrant parents, you know, they have high expectations for you and you want to meet them because they moved to this country to have their American dream and you want to bring that to them. And I was in my dining room just like paralyzed in fear, crying at the thought of having to like tell my parents that I did got a C- on a geometry test. And my mom comes up to me and she's like, oh my God, like what's wrong? And I just like could not bring myself to tell her. And I'm just like, I can't. She pats me on the shoulder and says,
I can't.
Are you crying because you're gay? When I tell you,
I'm sorry, it's a good. It's
internal
so
scream from the
funny.
mountaintops.
He's like, wait. Yes, but no.
What? And she was like, me and your father know. And when your dad gets home, you're going to have a conversation about it. Like, literally,
You were
what
like
could be more
C
mortifying?
minus, who cares?
Literally. I just ended up forging your signature later. but like, my dad comes home and I have to tell him and my mom about this. And just also for context on my dad, he's like super stoic, like not the most emotional person.
Right.
And he was like, you don't know anything. You don't know what
Wait, you were like,
want."
I'm gay, and he's like, you're not sure.
Yeah,
And you were
but
like,
I mean, if we're having this conversation,
gay.
I'm probably not straight. But and I remember saying, you know, if there's smoke, there's fire. But
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Stop.
But I remember what was really sad about that is, you know, my parents were very supportive of my identity and my life right now. I think at that time, my mom cried for 3 days straight. But I remember my mom coming to talk to me and she was like, the scariest part about this whole thing is not that, here we go. We're not upset about that. It's more, we're just really afraid of how the world's going to treat you now. Like you already have things against you. You're already black growing up in America, like who knows? But also like now adding gay on top of that,
Yeah.
it's almost like two targets in a sense. And she was really scared for me. And I think to this day, my parents are always like, that's always a concern for them. And I think around the time when I came out, there was a lot of like homophobic like assaults happening in New York.
Okay.
And my parents were really scared for that for me.
And they were just projecting their fear.
Exactly. And I think, you know, my queer identity and like who I am as a person is something they've accepted and they love it. I think they're still coming to terms
What's
with
not to love?
I mean, what's not so it's fabulous. But I think they're still getting used to the nuances of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in their heart of hearts, it's so much love. They have so much love for me. And they just visited me in LA 2 weeks ago. They just have so much love for me. And you could feel it. And my friends were like, you could see it.
And it's beyond your gayness or your whatever. It's you.
Yeah.
You know, my mom was so disappointed that none of us were gay. She was an artist and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you just can never make him happy, can you?
No, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I'm just so happy we got to have this space and time together.
Me too.
To speak honestly and be vulnerable and talk about all these amazing things.
I just feel like the rest of my life is going to be better because of this conversation. I feel lighter. I feel like I can give more light.
Oh, just share your light. Turn it on for others. It's great.
Turn it on.
And just sprinkle it.